Welcome into the DNVR Rockies podcast, brought to you by Strava Craft Coffee. Remember to use that promo code DNVR20 to get 20% off for new users, DNVR25 to get 25% off for second-time users of that CBD-infused, deliciously rich, and potentially life-altering Strava Craft Coffee. I'm your host, Drew Kreisman. I'm the managing editor of DNVR Rockies. With me, as always, is beat writer Patrick Lyons. And joining us for this one is, as not nearly often enough, the director of social media here at DNVR and one of the best baseball fans that we know, Michaela Perkins. What's happening?
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me back on. I wish I could come on more because I just never get enough of you.
It's Return of the Mac. You're back, and I think
Mac.
Every time Ryan McMahon hits a home run, we should be obligated to also have you on. And Drew, when it happens on Saturdays or Sundays, on one of my off days, you can go ahead and run that show, right? On the Mac day?
Right.
Okay. You got that.
Especially when you have back-to-back Mac. You go Mac to Mac is basically. Oh, and then that gives us
Mac Jacks, double Mac. There's so many things we could do with that.
I've been called cheesy, so is this a mac and cheese thing? Maybe.
Then we can do this thing. Boom. Look at that. The Mac attack.
Yes, that's if you go off really on a rant, like, an AJ Hafley style rant. Boom, we're gonna hit you with that Mac attack. And anytime you're on, it's going to be a Mac attack.
It was she was so shocked and inspired by it. It actually froze up her entire internet situation.
This kind of backfired. The Mac attack graphic attacked Mac to the point where Mac is gone, and we hope to get Mac back and the graphic to stop attacking.
So far, the show is going off without a hitch, I would say.
Other than those other 3 or 4 things that have just already happened. Right. This is going great. It's I tell you what, we have to be honest, it's not going as well as the Rockies in spring training so far, especially not after today.
That's right. We're going to get into talking about milestones and records to be broken here in just a second, but just quickly, because I know people are excited about it. Austin Gomber with 5 strikeouts today. He looked great. Mac, you were talking about his curveball. Actually kind of feeling good. Does it feel weird that you're feeling actually good about Rockies baseball at this just exact moment in time? Just, it was nice, right?
Yeah, no, it was super exciting. I'm so happy to see him doing well. His curveball is nasty. Like I was saying, I think that batter had a better chance of closing his eyes and praying than he did trying to track that ball. So I'm so excited to watch him play baseball. I already said that I wasn't going to let the Rockies front office steal away my baseball joy. So I'm enjoying this. I'm taking this for what it is. It's a spring training win, but I'll take it.
I'm looking forward to another left-handed starter in the rotation and what that might do as a boost for Kyle Freeland and having a partner that he can talk with and chop it up, talking shop. So that's going to be exciting.
It's just kind of fun to watch him pitch too. Like right now, right? Isn't it just kind of fun? Like, let's learn about this guy. Let's find. We talk about this with certain people, but just you're out there watching him go. Whoa, look at that! And I'll tell you what, that slider's got wicked movement. Right now, he can't put it where he wants to. He's not hitting his spot with that thing. The fastball's got real life on it though, and he's not afraid to throw it high. I'm enjoying watching Austin Gomber pitch right now, and that's a pretty cool spot to be in.
Yeah, I totally agree. I wonder too how much of a chip he has on his shoulder to be known as something other than the guy we traded for Nolan Arenado. So
Right.
I'm just I'm ready to watch him play.
Yeah.
He's a shiny new toy, and it's a great toy. It's still a really good, fun toy to have, and Colton Welker's a fun toy that we're seeing this spring, and there's a lot
It's
of definite
it's
positivity going on in spring.
he's not like a PS5 like right now, right? Like I get people are upset that they didn't get their PS5 for Christmas. It's kind of like getting a PS4 for this Christmas, but it's like if you didn't have the PS3 or PS2, like it's still an upgrade over what you had, and that's what Austin Gomber is right now. He's better than what you had, even if he's not the biggest, shiniest new thing. So, yeah, kind of fun. Kind of fun to watch Brendan Rodgers play baseball right now. Kind of fun to watch Colton Welker swing the bat right now. A couple of fun young guys showing off the power stroke. Like the one thing I think people were most worried about, this team wasn't going to be fun. And right now it's like, okay, there's something. There's something to latch onto. What do you think of the Brendan Rodgers power display so far, Matt?
Yeah, I'm in. I think, he obviously hasn't had as many chances to prove himself. He hasn't obviously had a ton of at bats in the majors, but I think he's got the sky's the limit for him. So I'm excited to watch him. A lot of people talk about his swing and just the power that he has, his ability to get that bat on the ball. So I'm intrigued. I didn't think I would feel this way, but like I'm kind of excited.
I love it. I love it. This is what spring training is all about. Then we'll check back in a week or two or a month or two into the season. We'll see where we're all at. But we do have a lot to talk about today on the DFA show. Again, if you're not here subscribing on the YouTube, you're missing out, especially when we do these lives where we do a lot of graphics and visuals and get into special talk, which we're going to do today about milestones and records. Everyone loves stats in the game of baseball. And we know the Rockies aren't likely to win a ton of games this year. And so people have asked, I'm sure we've all been asked this question. Why should I watch? Why should I pay attention to this team? What's the point? And for some people, wins, that's all it's going to be. And sorry about that. But if you can look for some other things, there are going to be days on the calendar worth circling because there are going to be some special moments in some individual careers. And you're going to want to be able to say, I saw that. I was there for that. I took part in that. As a part of the Rockies community. And there's some actually pretty big ones coming up.
Yeah, all those games in the early 2010s where people went out to see Carlos Gonzalez and Troy Tulowitzki that didn't amass and didn't amount towards any playoff appearances, you still saw some great baseball, and you were there for history all throughout Carlos Gonzalez's career. And there's always been those times where there's highlights, there's lowlights, but even in those lowlights of the Rockies not winning ball games and going to the postseason, there are those players that stand out, and we've been covering it here on the DNVR Rockies podcast. All three of us, just the history of this franchise and how many great players have played in Denver, and there's a few on this roster to say the least, and they're about to pass some of the greats in Rockies history, and we're going to highlight those guys today. And I'm really excited to really wrap my head around whether or not these guys can do it. Are they going to be in the top 5, top 4 all time in these different categories? It's going to be a cool conversation.
And regardless of how you feel about the Rockies right now, if you're even somewhat of a baseball fan, getting to witness baseball history is always worth it. And it's always something special because baseball is America's pastime for a reason. It's been around for hundreds of years. And so when you get to go to the ballpark and say you were a part of that like historic moment, I think it's so cool. I've been fortunate enough to witness some of my own. And so regardless of how you feel about the Rockies, it's still going to be cool to be a part of something like that. And I hope people here in Colorado will take advantage of that and realize how cool it'll be to be there if, you get the chance to witness that in person.
Right. Absolutely. You toast. I'll get it in early. I will toast this Breck brew early and often, but to all of those who have the opportunity to set records out there. I was a track runner in high school, and one thing they talk about a lot is personal best, right? One of the things, you're not always in track trying to beat the other people you're running against. You're also trying to make your personal best mark. And there's a lot of that going on out there too. So we toast our Breck brews. I got Strawberry Sky on this day. I still have not gotten – Michaela, I went to the liquor store and they were out of the Breckenridge Seltzies. Had none left.
Sold
Today is
out.
going to be attempt number 2, but I got to get some of the peach. I got to get some of that honeydew. I hear cherry is a sneaky favorite.
Yeah, and the apple pear, actually, I liked it more than I thought. I've been one of the lucky few to try all of the flavors, and I honestly have a hard time picking one of my favorites. The Seltzies are elite. You have to try them if you can get your hands on them. They are so good.
You see how seamless she did that, Drew?
Yeah.
See how seamless she threw Seltzies in?
The Seltzies are elite.
It felt natural.
You could put that on a shirt. It was almost just the end of an actual commercial. Just the Seltzies are elite. Find the Seltzies today at Breckenridge Brew location.
Sounds better coming out of your mouth
across
now.
Colorado.
Yeah, but I have the advantage of being a young 20-year-old white girl, so 20-something-year-old white girl. So I think it's a little bit more natural for me than it is for Drew.
Seltzies.
She can say Seltzies, but she doesn't know who Bruce Springsteen.
That's consistent.
We made it 11 minutes into the show,
That's
and it's
true.
already back to Bruce Springsteen. Here we go.
Right. We'll have to do an over-under. Yeah.
When Drew, when you were talking about going to the liquor store and then them not having any of the hard seltzers, Kale got the Bruce Springsteen reference, and before I could say those seltzers were NWO sold out, he was right on top of it. He couldn't wait to jump in.
Oh goodness.
Oh my God.
Mac's gonna stop coming on the show if we keep doing that.
No,
maybe
you'll be surprised. I have more up my sleeve. Don't worry. I'll supply you with an unlimited amount of things to hold against me. Just give me time.
We'll just move on to the next one at that point. All right, let's hop into some of these. Let's start with everybody's favorite, with Denver's own, with the man people have the easiest time cheering for if you're from here. And that is, of course, Kyle Freeland. He's a little bit further behind in some things, but also further up in others. We'll break that down. We know he's had one of the best individual seasons in Colorado Rockies history back in 2018. But he's also, believe it or not, even though the rest of the time he's been anywhere from really bad and having to get sent down to fine enough, he's already starting to climb the charts in Rockies history here.
Yeah, 33 career wins. He's about 5 out of tying Julius Chassin for the top 10, and with just 9 wins, he'll go ahead and tie Pedro Estacio, or actually 19 wins away from getting up to Pedro Estacio for 6th all time. So if he's on course to kind of repeat that 2018 season, got a way to go, but it's definitely within sights, and he'll easily be in the top 10 by the end of the season in career Rockies wins.
So that's pretty cool. Getting into, that especially you start projecting further on down the line if he's going to stay around for a while, that he's already at that spot. But getting into the top 10 and matching a guy like Pedro Estacio, basically being within striking distance, that's a great name in Rockies history. And somebody Kyle Freeland is well educated about, and that'll mean something to him.
And with 2 more years of control, too, after this season, I mean, he still has an outside shot of topping Jorge De La Rosa at 86. But even Jeff Francis sitting there in 3rd place with 64 career wins. I mean, that's basically 10 wins every season for the next 3 years. I mean, that's somewhat of a gimme, I feel like. So, even if he's average, I think he's going to go down as one of the all-time greats.
Excuse you. I'm not sure if that's agreement or disagreement, but the dog
Michaela,
is excited about.
Does Kyle Freeland get 19 wins? Can we go ahead and just pencil him in for 9 wins with the odds of something like that? Can we say, hey, if he does get those wins, he'll go ahead and move into 6th place? Is that going to be hard for him to do this year?
Yeah, I'm not too sure about 19 wins. I think in 2018, his best season, he had 17. So, 19 would be pushing it a little bit. But I'm so ready to watch Kyle Freeland get back to 2018. I want to watch him do his thing and to deal him out and to return to that pitcher that we all saw in 2018. He was in the conversation for some Cy Young votes. So I'm just ready to watch him get back to that. And now is the time. So I really hope that he can kind of just return to that pitcher that we all saw in 2018, because there's nothing better than getting to cheer for a player that you you really want to do well. But on top of that, him being a homegrown kid just kind of like adds to that whole element of his, status on the Rockies. So I'm ready for him to kind of get back to that 2018 elite style of pitching. And I think the Rockies are going to need him to be that way this season. So hopefully he can kind of trend in that direction. And, but I agree though. I think he's going to go down as, one of the all times for Colorado.
So then you also might wondering, well, how come there's this big gap? As Patrick said, just a couple of past Chassin, then it's a bigger jump there to get to Astacio. There's theoretically people he could pass there in that range. The problem is those guys are also still, hopefully for you out there, collecting wins for your Colorado Rockies. That's John Gray and Germán Marquez. They're climbing up the win totals faster and actually have the opportunity to make things really interesting here in terms of the top 5 in Rockies history.
They do. Yeah, they're not too far away from all that. And I think all throughout the season there, if you're checking the leaderboard, John Gray and Germán Marquez could go back and forth in any number of categories, and we'll get to those in a little bit. But yeah, those guys are looking to get over that 50 win mark. And kind of match where Jason Jennings is at all time with his 58 career wins, excuse me. So you could have 2 guys this season alone pushing up into the top 5, 2 guys in pitcher wins going up and reaching that. And then we got Antonio Senzatella there. Like, let's not forget, again, when we talk about 4 of the greatest pitchers in franchise history, Antonio Senzatella is a guy who can move up to 9th place. Because again, John Gray and Germán Marquez and Kyle Freeland are already ahead of him in wins anyway. So if he goes ahead and moves up, I mean, he could get himself on that cusp of top 10 all-time in franchise wins. And he's another guy who's got still 2 more years of control. So this is probably the height of where we could expect Gray and Marquez is to match Jason Jennings total. So a lot could change on the Rockies all-time leaderboard here.
I've seen a lot of tell us why we should watch the Rockies. What do we have to look forward to? What's any reason to support this team? This is your reason. This is probably one of the best rotations the Rockies have ever put together. And they're going to have some huge moments this season. And I get being upset with the Rockies for everything that's gone down this offseason. But if you're looking for anything, any type of reason to watch this team, I think this is I can't think of any other reason, a major reason to watch other than this rotation. I mean, can you guys I think they're so underrated, they're undervalued, and I think they want to prove to the people who are watching this team that this is the reason to watch. So
right.
I can't think of a better reason to watch than this rotation that the Rockies have put together.
One note on this win total. So John Gray would again need a really incredible season. He would need 19 wins, as we talked about, in order to get all the way further to catch Jeff Francis. Just to catch Jeff Francis for third, he'd need a 20-win season, which we haven't seen in Colorado. Can I stop talking? I was going to say, that's the end of that sentence, right?
I can hear your ellipsis.
I was going, Ubaldo won 19 games. So no. Okay. So we've never seen a 20-win season for him to claim third place on his own. And as we know, John Gray is a pending free agent. So Marquez is just a few behind. He would need a 22-win season to catch Francis again. Almost certainly not going to happen. The thing is, Marquez is likely to be on the roster next year and pass Francis for third place with relative ease, where John Gray, if he re-signs, they will continue their race against each other. If he doesn't, he's likely to fall a win or 2 short of Jeff Francis for third place all time.
And Marquez, in the deal that he signed at the beginning of the 2019 season, has a lot of team options in it. So on paper, they're only guaranteed to pay him for a few more years. But with those options, he's going to be around. He'll be around a lot longer, pending trade. Sure, we're not going to get into all that business right now. But he's on the books a little bit longer. Then I think even if Gray comes back, he's not going to get a 4-year deal. He's probably not even going to get a 3-year deal. The way that the pitchers are going. I think Trevor Bauer was the only free agent this offseason to get more than 2 years. So again, Marquez definitely has to be at the front of the pack. If you're pitting those two guys against each other, Marquez is behind Gray a little bit in career wins, but when all is said and done, Marquez is going to be at the top of a lot of these leaderboards for pitchers.
I think that's right. Another one of those leaderboards, we've got strikeouts. And there's a similar story here where John Gray is a little bit further out in front just in terms of collecting strikeouts, having debuted a bit earlier. And he's got Ubaldo Jimenez within his sights to be able to get to that mark of 773, which is how many Ks Ubaldo had for the Rockies. John Gray with an opportunity to get there. Where's my number at?
For second all time.
Second all time. And this is almost certainly going to happen if he has a healthy season. Actually, he only needs 81 strikeouts to do this. He averages 192 a season. So John Gray could and probably should move comfortably into second place in Rockies history in terms of strikeouts.
Well, here's one caveat. He's a free agent at the end of the year, so he very well could be traded. That being said, Michaela, do you think, even with him being one of those trade candidates, does he get those 82, 81 to tie, 82 to pass? Would you take the over on that? Do you see at some point this year John Gray being second all time for Rockies starting pitchers or pitchers in general for strikeouts with the Rockies? Does he make that mark?
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. I don't think that's too far out of the question at all. 2020 obviously was a weird year, but the 4-5 seasons before that, he was, like Drew said, he was averaging, a pretty decent number. I mean, in 2019, he had 150, 2018, he had 183. So, it's definitely not out of question that he's going to be able to hit that mark. I think he will do it with ease. I would definitely take the over. And, if that does happen again, that is a really cool thing that Rockies fans should be excited about, because I just think they fail to recognize sometimes the talent that these pitchers have and all of these milestones and where they're going to stack up at the end of the day in Rockies history.
And projecting forward a little bit, and you say, he'll strike out maybe, let's say, ballpark 160 guys this year. So 81, 82, that's around at the end of June, early July. Well, who comes to town in early July? The St. Louis Cardinals. So does John Gray strike out Paul Goldschmidt? I mean, that's what we're all thinking. When I put the Cardinals, who are you thinking? Paul Goldschmidt. No, he could do it against Nolan Arenado. That would be crazy.
Nolan, that'd be great.
Please put a pin in this. Please put a pin in this.
Fantastic theater. Yeah. We'll come back to this.
It could happen. It could happen.
We will find this video if and when that happens. And then, as we mentioned, Germán Marquez, right there behind him, though the timeline is likely to be longer. So because he's, this isn't going to happen this year, him catching Jorge De La Rosa, but he needs 133 to catch Ubaldo. So again, with him, and he could pass Gray with a great year. And if Gray is traded, he could pass Gray this year. So Gray could move into second only to be traded and watch Germán Marquez go flying right by him.
Yeah.
But then when you look at it, he's only, 345 strikeouts away from Jorge De La Rosa. This is going to happen probably next year, but still Germán Marquez is on that strikeout train, and he's going to be the strikeout king of the Colorado Rockies.
If he ascends to that, 10 years ago, Felix Hernandez level, if he goes to the Justin Verlander side, Max Scherzer, and he very well could, it could be this year.
It could happen.
I would probably take the under, but if it does happen, again, you heard it here first. This guy could go off 345 strikeouts, maybe only a 5% chance. But you know what? There's a 0% chance I get a single base hit this year in MLB.
That's right.
0.000. Put that little line over the top. It's never ending. It's actually possible for Marquez to do that if he really goes off, and maybe most importantly, can stay healthy. But if it's not this year, it's going to be in 2022.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I'm not too confident about this year. I think this year is asking a lot for that type of performance, but
For sure.
undoubtedly by 2022, he will be beyond that stat. So it's weird to think of. It's kind of crazy to think about.
Isn't that
And
weird?
that also means at the end of next year, not only would he likely pass Ubaldo for first, but once he gets 986 to get past, not Ubaldo, excuse me, Jorge De La Rosa, if he can get 294 by then, we're talking 1,000 strikeouts too. The first Rockies pitcher to ever get 1,000 Ks.
Right.
That would also be fantastic.
Yeah. It's going to be some fun stuff coming up for Marquez. All right, this one, the next two are a little nerdier. You know, we love our advanced statistics here, and it really does help put into perspective, especially Rockies pitchers. And Baseball Reference WAR, you can use whichever one you want. That's the one we're using for this. But this I think is a big one because you can be taken out of a game or not have to pick up a certain number of innings, and there's a level of having to be good, but also having to be consistent, having to go out there a lot. And Kyle Freeland and Germán Marquez are actually in a dead heat tie, straight up tie at exactly 13 BWAR in their career. Either one, it'd take a lot. But it wouldn't even take like the most elite season like in the National League. It would take their best seasons of a 5.9 Baseball Reference WAR to catch Ubaldo Jimenez for number one all time.
Already. Yeah, I mean, Freeland wouldn't even need to repeat 2018. He'd like almost be 2/3 as good, and he's getting to that mark. And then Marquez, also in 2018, was very good. Was just shy of 5 wins above replacement, only at 4.4. But like both those guys are within reaching distance of that. Even if they just have a slightly above average season. Again, pitching in Colorado, wins above replacement. This is a weird one too, where you go, it could happen, but then you have a bad start, and then your wins above replacement goes down. So we'd almost have to wait until the end of the year. And also, no one's going to stop a game and go, like, with that strikeout, according to Fangraphs, Germán Marquez now has, and then he gives up a double, a run scores, and then his WAR goes down.
It goes down.
And then he strikes out another guy. With another similar incident after the double, he now breaks the record for the second time. Okay. But it's, again, all these stuff put things in perspective about how great this starting rotation is in the context of Rockies history.
Yeah, and like when we did that podcast where we ranked all of the history of the Rockies players in the organization, and it was all based on BWAR, it kind of made you realize exactly what we're dealing with here, because if both of these guys are able to make that mark, then there's no question, there's literally no way that you can argue that they are some of the best pitcher, if not the best pitchers the Rockies have ever seen. So I mean, that puts things into perspective. Like if they can get that and they can achieve passing all those guys on BWAR, then you can't argue against their performance and what they meant to this team.
And it also signifies, the potential for when the time comes for the Rockies Hall of Fame, you say, all right, well, now these guys are basically locks at this point going forward. And depending on what they do the rest of their career, depending on the ownership and what have you, we could be looking at, players that, maybe they're the third, fourth, fifth, whatever it is, guys whose number could be retired at some point. Again, Rockies have been a little chintzy with that and frugal, I guess, maybe. I don't know. They've only had 17 for Helton. We know Walker's going to be coming eventually. Hopefully they'll reschedule that event that was supposed to go down last year. But, these marks are really worth something, are very valuable. And it's history in the making right before our eyes.
Yeah. A few more pitching ones we've got here. My favorite stat. Park adjusted ERA plus. This one is a little bit wonkier because of, like Patrick was just saying, this is a stat where you can improve your career ERA plus by a lot and then really tank it by a lot if you're having a great season or you're having a terrible season. Ubaldo Jimenez holds the franchise mark at 128. That's going to be tough to catch, but Freeland and Marquez are already in third and fourth at 119 and 118 respectively. And Freeland only needs to improve his ERA plus for his career by 1 to tie Chacin for second place. So again, with decent seasons, if these guys are pretty good and they just raise their career numbers, they'll likely move into second and third. And if they have great seasons, have a chance to be right there with Ubaldo Jimenez.
Yeah, when I crunched the numbers, and first off, I saw, okay, we're looking at 128 ERA plus. Freeland obviously topped that in 2018. Got close in his rookie season, as well as last year with 123 and 122 ERA plus, respectively. Germán Marquez was there once last year at 140, and then got close, 125 in 2018. But I did the numbers, I crunched it, and for Kyle Freeland, he would need to have, if he threw 230 innings this year, which would be a career high by a decent amount, but if he's healthy, goes through with his 33 starts, let's say, he would need an ERA plus of 149, which again is
really good, but within the realm of reason. That is,
it's worse than
doable.
2018. It's not even as good as 2018.
Right.
It's
Right.
less than that.
Right.
And again, less innings he has, the higher his ERA plus would need to be, the better he would need to be.
Right.
So you'd adjust accordingly. And for Germán Marquez, 230 innings, which I think that is maybe more realistic as far as if we're just talking about innings, he would need a 156 ERA. So again, we're not even saying that these guys need to be as good as Kyle Freeland was in that historic 2018 season. They have to be somewhat close to it, but not even as good. And it's possible, again, you've got the record. And from there going forward, they don't need to continue having these, top 10 Cy Young performances. You can just stay around 128. But having already pitched, in the majors for 4+ seasons, again, you got to bring that average rate up. And it's not going to stop the game for it, but it very well could happen. I mean,
can you imagine?
Michaela, did you think
it's got a 129 ERA plus now, guys? Hold up.
Yeah, did you think that Freeland, maybe Marquez, you would have had the inkling, but would you have ever thought early in Freeland Marquez's career, like you would look at a stat like ERA plus and say, oh, these guys are actually going to best Ubaldo's record, because he was the dude. He was the guy that did the things that nobody else could do, and yet you got two guys in the starting rotation that might be able to do the same thing, if not better.
Yeah, no, I never even crossed my mind, to be honest. I mean, even in 2018, when Kyle Freeland was 4th in Major League Baseball for ERA plus, it's kind of hard to put those two with, the significance of Ubaldo and kind of, put I don't know. It's hard for me to describe because, when I think of the pitcher in Rockies history, it's Ubaldo. And so,
iconic.
Yeah. And so when, you see someone like Kyle put up the 4th best ERA plus in Major League Baseball in 2018, it still doesn't really even register to me that this is something that could lead to something much more significant in the fact of his overall impact in the history of the Colorado Rockies. So, yeah.
I know, right? It's fun.
And
That's why I love these numbers.
It's cool because, iconic is that word with Ubaldo. And you go, well, what did he do differently? Well, he did start the All-Star game, but I don't think people really think about that all that much, to be honest. I'm someone who gets, totally crazy when it comes to the All-Star game. It's the no-hitter. And
it's the no-hitter, and it's the whole first half of that season. There was that half of the season where he was just ridiculous. But the no-hitter is definitely the star on the top of the Christmas
for sure.
tree.
And you go, well, Freeland, while again not a big strikeout pitcher, he had that start right before the All-Star break in his rookie season in 2017 against the White Sox. You got Germán Marquez in 2019 when they were 3-12 to start out in San Francisco, who had it going into the 9th. And you go, man, those guys, when you look at those kind of elements, you go, yeah, you know what? I guess they are up there now. But again, you blink and you go, I wouldn't have anticipated anybody approaching Ubaldo's record. And yet you've got two guys in the rotation right now doing it this year.
Which is also something that I just don't think Rockies fans I don't want to like talk bad about Rockies fans, but like I don't really think they grasp that concept. Like that is insane to have two people approaching the iconic pitcher on like for the history of the Rockies, to have two people now that have performed to the way that they have performed has allowed them to reach, those milestones is just like mind blowing to me. I know the Rockies aren't that old of a team, but it's like they deserve all the credit in the world for what they've been able to accomplish so far in their careers. And I hope this puts things more into perspective so that fans will realize, there's things worth cheering for is basically just what I'm trying to.
And Marquez turned 26 like a week and a half ago, by the way. Another thing worth remembering. One last note on ERA plus. Actually, I just stumbled on this today. Austin Gomber only has 102 innings pitched in his career, but he has a career ERA plus of 108. So actually, because of the way that stat works, he could jack his ERA plus up to like 135 with just a quality season because there's nothing to work on there. So
we're gonna put an asterisk next to that. Like you have to have pitched at least 3.
I was gonna say
seasons.
give us at least 300 innings or something. But yeah, but I know I was like, hey, 108, and John Gray at 107. Could get into the top 5-ish if he improves that. So interesting stuff there.
And you hope he does. You hope he does. He's gonna be a free agent. Sure. All right, he pitches well, and then you go, you know what, John, we do want to bring you back for a couple more years, and I think the Rockies would. Or you go, you know what, we're going to trade you to a contender because someone is willing to really overspend and pay for that. Again, it's a win-win. It's a win-win for the organization.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Last couple of pitching ones. We've got Marquez moving up the shutout board, potentially. Okay, this one's a little bit cheeky. Okay, all right, a little bit cheeky with this one.
Drew, you...
Look,
and me and Michaela are only 3 shutouts away from tying Ubaldo Jimenez's. Kale is 4. I don't know how he sits at -1 right now, but he's within shooting distance here. He could.
You're really going to take shots after we made him make a graphic out of the possibility that a guy might throw a shutout.
Yeah, well, I think Marquez and I think Marquez has only 1, but Jason Jennings and Ubaldo Jimenez, they each have 3. And you go, yeah, why not? Why wouldn't Marquez be able to have, 2 shutouts? Why wouldn't he be able to have 3 potentially this year? And again, if all things go well and Marquez ascends to the level, he basically becomes Super Saiyan. If he's able to do that this year, man, he's gonna.
It's the shutouts, the strikeouts, the wins, the whole
smithereens. It's gonna be absolutely smithereens to all the Rockies records.
And of course, and Tech Boy moving us on, going, and also games pitched, almost always held by a reliever. You got Scott Oberg moving up on Manny Corpus in the games pitched category, and obviously everyone's rooting for Scott Oberg to pitch as many games as is possible.
Yeah, that would put him in the top 6. He'd move up a bunch there, and again, you blink and you go, oh wow. If you've gone to a Rockies game during a certain period of time, you go, well, there's a good shot you saw Scott Oberg pitch because he's done it a lot. He's done it a lot.
All right, we'll move into the offensive side of things, but first we got to take care of a little bit of business. And when you want to take care of a little bit of business, you get on DraftKings Sportsbook app. You place a little bit of money on those teams you know are going to win. I hear you. I see you on Twitter and in the comments section out there with all your confidence about who's going to win and who's going to strike out X number of people or strike out X number of times. Well, it's time to put your money where your mouth is with a little bit of DraftKings Sportsbook. Always a little bit more fun when you've got some skin in the game, whether you're betting on baseball, football, basketball, KBO, track and field at times, I assume, possibly, UFC, whatever it is, it's always fun. And right now they're hooking you up with the Underdog Special for new users. Everyone here is a Rockies fan. That means you're a fan of underdogs. You're picking some underdogs in the first round of the tournament. That's just what you do there in this time that we call a little bit of March and a little bit of madness. And if you bet, it's $4, they will turn it into $256 if you can pick an underdog, which is always happening in the tournament. You don't even need to know. It's like filling out a bracket. You don't need to know. Pick an underdog put down a couple of bucks, and if they win, you'll come out of there with $256. So download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code DNVR when you sign up, and you will turn that $4 into $256 if the underdog of your choice pulls off the upset. That's code DNVR to get that promo only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older, Colorado only, new customers only, restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700.
A lot of people won $256 yesterday by picking University of Miami in the ACC tournament. So a lot of people with 256 in the 303 with our pick 'em, with our pick yesterday. Monday we nailed it.
Also, if you want to make sure that you're making all the right decisions when you're making bets on DraftKings Sportsbook, or when you're maybe just doing anything in life, you head over to MSU Denver Online. Get online, take a couple of classes, whether it's a full-time education thing you're trying to do or just a couple of skills, round it out, get a little better at tackling the world, or just learn about something fun and interesting that you happen to find fun and interesting. Education can take on all different kinds of purposes, and you want to get it at the experts in digital education right now, not the people who are just figuring it out. So head over to msudenver.edu/online. Earn your degree while working and making money. They really are absolutely fantastic, really helpful at helping you find work in your field. Typically, the teachers work inside of that field. And so I highly, highly recommend, as somebody who's taken a few classes there myself, you're going to enjoy yourself. You're going to make yourself a better person. Don't delay. Head to msudenver.edu/online today. All right. Let's get the sticks. Let's pick up them sticks.
All right. So Nolan Arenado currently.
How dare you?
What? Oh, okay. Sorry. He's not going to be breaking any records.
Is he not on the? Is he?
Are we not allowed to say his name? We definitely should have a little jar. If
there should be, yeah.
Even if you're throwing shade at the Cardinals and stuff, it's like, is it worth it? You know what? Yeah, I'll put $1 in to make this reference.
Right. It has to be worth it.
Yeah.
Terrible. All right, games played. Big one here. This is a big deal, man. He's coming up on Carlos Gonzalez's 1,247.
Huge.
Charles Kyle Blackmon could be second, Mr. Rocky?
Yes, after Todd Helton, you go, who's come to the plate the most? Charlie Blackmon. Like, you talk about going to a Rockies game now, you can almost certainly say, oh, you know that song, Your Love by The Outfield? You know, the song that we all sing. Copyright infringement. You can only sing so many bars.
I think you get 7 seconds, I've heard. Something like that. Kale might know that.
So we can get through most of the word tonight.
I don't know about the 7 seconds, but I do know that song is in the Rockies intro. And when I tried to use it on a video once, we did get copyright claimed.
Oh, I knew we'd have valuable information on this.
What if we just change the lyrics to "I do not want to lose your love tonight"? Different song. It's a different.
That's a game
song.
I play to annoy the hell out of my girlfriend all the time. I sing songs without contractions in them.
Oh, that's almost
so
like
irritating.
When Sudeikis and Will Forte would do a Bon Jovi backwards Bon Jovi cover band, John Bovey, and they would sing all Bon Jovi lyrics backwards. And so Michaela, Bon Jovi.
I was gonna say
I was literally about
another
to say,
New Jersey musician.
All of these
Bon
references.
Jovi,
Whoa,
John
whoa, whoa.
Bon Jovi, Bon Jovi.
Have you ever heard of Bon Jovi?
Yes, of course. My dad would murder me if I didn't.
All right, what's his first name Bon or is his first name Jovi? Which one?
Isn't it a band?
Get a guess. Yeah, right. But which one would be his first
Like
name?
Steely Dan.
I'm gonna go with Bon as his first.
Sorry, it's actually John. His last name is Bon Jovi. I had to set you up on that. It's actually Bon Giovanni, but
I really only know who that is because of Rock Band. So
that's okay. That's acceptable. I'll allow it. Video games teach people things. You heard it here.
Yeah, Charlie Blackmon, man, just going up to second all time. I mean, I don't really think there's any way he's going to go ahead and top Todd Helton.
I don't think so.
That's almost an impossibility, but
yeah,
he's right there. And he's close to joining a special rank of players with Dante Bichette having 201 career home runs with the Rockies. Very doable. Very doable. And so he's only 22 shy, which he's done in the last 4 full seasons that he's played. So throw 2020 out. But he's been able to hit 22 or more. So he'd be only the 7th Rockies player to hit 200 or more home runs with the Rockies. Again, elite class right there.
Getting excited about that one, Mag. Is that when he passes Dante Bichette? Is that? I mean, that's again, right?
I'm biased because Charlie Blackmon's my all-time favorite Rocky. So if Charlie Blackmon just breathes air, I'm like, yeah, Charlie. But no, I love Charlie Blackmon. He didn't make it into our S tier based on B-War when we ranked all-time Rockies players. But I think, especially this season, he has a chance to move up into that S tier. And I'm obsessed with Charlie. So anything he does, I'm game for.
Love it. It could be a really big season, and it's Charlie's going to be one of those things. I saw there was an article somebody shared in the Discord recently where somebody said there's no face of the Colorado Rockies anymore, and I went, look, you can say a lot of things about this team, and if you say nothing but negative things about this team, they could all be correct, but Charlie Blackmon's right there. And not only is he the face of this franchise, look at the face. How could you forget that?
Beard of the franchise. Beard of the franchise.
Beautiful
and hits.
Man.
So we said games, but also too, he's right there with hits. He's only 52 away, so that he's gonna knock that out by May, where he's gonna be second all time behind Todd Helton. So I mean, that's just puts it all in perspective. The history of the team and the players on this current roster right now. They're doing some big things.
Yeah, for sure. I don't want to get too overly excited because I'm just worried about that July 31st date. And I'm scared that if they're doing well, they're signing their death warrant for their Rockies career. But it's fine. We're just not going to worry about that. We're not going to put the cart before the horse. It's going to be fine.
Well, that kind of segues nicely to our next guy, because we got to talk about Trevor Story. And he's got those milestones coming up. And it's really about, is he going to be on the team long enough? So he needs 21 doubles to pass Brad Hawpe for 10th all time. So that would put him in the top 10. You also have, we'll leave that one alone. Does he get to 21?
I think so. I think that's easy for Story. He's like, no problem for that one.
Unless he gets traded.
I think I did the math on that, and I tried to figure out on an average season. And it was like July 27th is when I projected him to get that final 21st double that he needed. And you go, is he going to be still on the team? Is he going to be top 10 all time in doubles? Oh, that's cutting it close.
I also love the pictures that Kel chose for the for Story and Brad Hawpe there, how perfectly they encapsulate those two guys, different personalities, and Hawpe just looking sort of endlessly perplexed. And we were all like, how does he keep doing this? We were perplexed by him. And Trevor Story with just the explosion of energy after doing something monstrous and athletic.
Outside of this podcast, you do not hear Brad Hawpe's name enough when Rockies fans talk Rockies, and yet when we looked at all the top 10 lists,
the Hopper,
there he was. He was in all of those lists.
You gotta love the Hopper.
Wait, we did the Denver Sports Podcast the other week, and one of the questions was, who is a player that a true fan of the team should know, past or present? And I did Drew a favor by saying Tapia for
picked
president.
Me up there.
But Hawpe was on my list for past players, and I definitely think that's somebody that people should know about if they really know about the history of the Rockies.
You also killed that Hunger Games question. I wasn't going to be able to do that anywhere near as well as you did. I was so glad you were the Rockies rep on that one, because I'd have been like, I don't know, district number something, because I've seen the movies and I enjoy them or whatever, but you were so the perfect person to answer that. I was upset that you didn't get enough support for Charlie Blackmon and Brendan Rodgers in the Hunger Games. That's
what I'm saying.
ridiculous.
Patrick, if you missed it, I picked Charlie Blackmon and Brendan Rodgers to be the Rockies tribute for the Hunger Games, and I think they would win.
Great picks.
That's what I
Great
think.
picks.
Everyone was like, "Oh, hockey players, because hockey players are big and strong." I'm like,
come on.
they're huge targets.
Have you seen Charlie Blackmon's beard?
Right.
Dude grew up in Georgia. Brendan Rodgers is from Florida.
Florida man.
I think they're the only two guys in the city of Denver that could survive a gator roll, like, because they have before.
I'm saying, and they probably have. And they probably have.
Those crazy dog things from the first movie get released, and like Brendan Rodgers and Trevor Story are just like wrestling them to the ground.
Or Blackman. Yeah, you got it.
Well, I'm sorry. Did I say Charlie Blackmon?
But you meant Charlie Blackmon.
Charlie Blackmon's got a knife in his boot. He might even have a knife in his cleat when he takes the field. Just in case. You know, those feral cats that run out on the field. Well, all right, that took a dark turn.
He's got knife skills. He's got gun skills. He's got bow skills. That man can hunt. He can shoot anything that moves.
The dentist was working in my mouth, and I was listening. I was like, no, she's making a great point.
I don't want to go too far down this road, but Charlie Blackmon would absolutely win if he was in the Hunger Games.
I do love that.
All right. A few more here, or one last one for the Rockies, and then we've got a couple of non-Rockies ones, right? Unless I missed any.
Yeah. So, Trevor Story right now, he sits at 17.1 at-bats per home run. So every 17 at-bats, basically, he goes ding-dong Johnson. That's fourth. Dude is already, if you're talking about a prolific home run hitter, you are talking Trevor Story. Like, that's to put that in perspective, right? You got Andres Galarraga's first, then Ellis Burks and Larry Walker are ahead of him. And Vinny Castilla is a little bit behind, and the current third baseman for the St. Louis Cardinals is behind.
Nolan Gorman?
I gotta save a couple bucks here and there. So Story's ahead of all those guys. So again, had to go and crunch the numbers. And for Trevor Story to go ahead and increase to the point in which he can top Larry Walker for second all-time in a normal 600 at-bat season, he would need to hit 50 home runs.
Oh, that's a lot.
That is a lot. And for him to get ahead of Galarraga, he'd have to hit 54. But again, the dude wants to go 40-40. I mean, he wants to go 30-30, but you set your goal on 40-40.
There was a time
30-30.
I'm sure there are times in his career he's been on a 50 home run pace for like 2 months, right? Yeah.
And actually, I hadn't calculated. He gets traded at the deadline, less at bats, but more home runs. Like if he's got 30
traded
home
to
runs,
the Yankees, so he hits the 67 home runs.
No, don't
Drew, we can't count that. We can't count that towards the Rockies. We're just talking about the Rockies.
Oh, that doesn't.
They do it purple. No, we can't count. Oh, thank you, Cal.
That's what he gets.
He got booted from his own show.
Kick him
That's
off.
the kind of comment that I would make. I think maybe Drew was mocking. Did he change his voice? Was he doing a Patrick voice when he said he gets traded to the Yankees? I think he might have been doing a little bit of an accent.
You guys, we can't talk about this. We cannot manifest it. We can't even put it out into the universe.
It's
Okay,
like Candyman. Drew, I said it once. Drew said it once. Michaela, if you say it will unlock this vortex in which a certain shortstop will play on a certain team in New York again, because it already happened once. We see.
Nope, it's not happening.
I think we just broke a milestone in record here on the show. I believe that's the first time I've ever been booted from my own.
It is.
And rightfully so. I deserved that one. Great job.
Oh, go ahead, Drew.
I was going to say, get us to these next ones.
Well, yeah, outside of the Rockies, which that's all who we're going to be focused on, there's some other milestones coming up just in Major League Baseball in general that are really fantastic. Miguel Cabrera, he's 134 hits away from 3,000, 13 home runs away from 500. And again, those milestones could line up where hit number 3,000 is a home run. Now, believe it or not, 3 players of the 31 that have 3,000 hits hit a home run for their 3,000th hit. I was shocked by the first one. I knew Jeter had done it in 2011. Knew A-Rod had done it in 2015. But the other guy who did it was also a Yankee, or I should say a former Yankee. It was Wade Boggs. He wasn't a very big home run hitter. In fact, he only hit 118 in his career. And in fact, good fun fact. Again, every week we got to give you a fun fact that you can take to a water cooler and sound like you're really smart.
A water cooler.
A wooder.
A
You
water.
heard it. A wooder.
Thank you, Michaela, for pronouncing it properly.
Thank
You go to the water cooler, you can say Wade Boggs. The final home run he hit in his career, he had 118 home runs, and the final home run he hit was his 3,000th. How about that? His final home run was number.
That's incredible.
Right?
That's cool.
That's pretty dope. Pujols, his wife said he was going to retire. Not really. He's sitting at the top of all of the lists already.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's broken all the records. What does he have left? He's got Don Baylor in his sights.
I love this one.
This
love
is so great.
He's actually tied right now with Don Baylor in sacrifice flies, and with a decent season, he actually could have the all-time record. It's not one of those records that you care that much about. Like, he also is hitting the most double plays out of anyone. He's approaching 400. He's gonna be the first player that ever hit in 400 double plays. But I just love that.
They should stop the game for that. Do a little graphic.
He's tied with Don Baylor. I'm like, that's a good record to kind of mention. This is the appropriate podcast for that.
That's fantastic. I love that.
And Michaela, and for our final one, Michaela, I got one of your boys. And Drew, I just got something I think you're going to like. Zach Greinke, the 10-10 Club. Take a guess. I ain't going to tell you just yet.
So we got Bob Gibson.
What is the 10-10 Club? Because Zach Greinke talked about it. He said, I've known about it for a while. I almost did it 2 years ago, but it didn't come to fruition.
Okay.
What is the 10-10 Club? Now, while you're thinking about that, Bob Gibson is the only other player from the modern era to have done this. Cy Young did it. Walter Johnson and some third guy I had never freaking heard of in my life had done it. But in the modern era, only Bob Gibson is a pitcher that has reached the 10-10 Club. What's the 10-10 Club? And Kale, you could get in on this.
I think it's based on Greinke's love of hitting. It's 10 home runs and 10 stolen bases.
Oh, right out the box.
Did she?
Yeah?
That's it?
She got it.
Was I right?
Yeah, you are 100%.
Woo!
Right now, he sits at 10 home runs and 9 stolen bases. He actually had an attempt a couple years ago, and he was caught stealing, and he was the only one in the ballpark that knew. He said, I want to be in the 10. I knew you'd love that, Drew. He wants to be in the 10-10 Club. Here's the worst part. He plays in the American League.
Yep.
And this season might be his last chance, because if you have the DH in the NL, we will never have another pitcher ever get to the 10-10 Club.
Yeah, he was crushed when he got traded to the Astros purely because of the fact that they're in the American League. And I honestly think he likes to hit more than he likes to pitch.
You're right.
So
man,
I'm going to be heartbroken for him if he doesn't get that 10-10 Club membership. I honestly think he cares more about joining the 10-10 Club than he does about like a no-hitter. Like, he genuinely loves hitting that much. So it's going to be so sad for him if just because he's in the American League and they make the horrible decision to make a universal DH the season after that, he's going to be so sad.
We gave you about 30 reasons of why every Rockies game is going to be important for one reason or another. We, believe it or not, and Drew, you might not like this, but again, positive spin. We did give you one reason why to watch the Houston Astros this season. When they play an NL team, see if he gets that stolen base.
I do have a Greinke exception. As I've sometimes alluded to, Greinke is just one of my favorite people in all of Major League Baseball. I really do enjoy everything about him, his story, his style, his approach, the way he thinks about the game, everything that he's accomplished, that he loves to hit, that he cares about stealing a base. Like, I absolutely love this. And you reminded me of a bonus one I get to throw out here at the end that I hadn't thought of until just right now, something that could happen right now this season for your Colorado Rockies. They could be the last ever Silver Slugger at pitcher for Germán Marquez. Germán Marquez has an opportunity to win the last ever National League Silver Slugger from the pitcher spot.
I do like that.
Also something he cares about. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. We haven't spoken to Austin Gomber about his thoughts on being a hitting pitcher. Derek Rodriguez he's okay, but you're right. That would be That would be historic.
Until
I love that.
you just did the Greinke thing. I hadn't thought about that. And just talking about the universal DH, I go, yep, Marquez has one more opportunity to get a Silver Slugger. And he could literally be the last person in the National League ever in the history of baseball ever to win a Silver Slugger as a pitcher.
And he'd also be, again, if my memory is wrong, might be the first person to win the last award that was wiped away. There's no other awards that I can think of that they said, you know what, we're not going to give this award out, right? Because they can't now. They
just keep giving more awards. Yeah, right.
Well, now you're going to give a Silver Slugger award to the DH in the NL, and now pitchers can no longer win Silver Slugger. That's never happened in the history of baseball. I hadn't thought of it until you put that out there. There's never been another award. They essentially just said, no, we're not going to give it because we can't give it because this thing doesn't exist. What?
It's not that, yeah.
There's always going to be rookies. There's always going to be a top pitcher. There's always going to be a most valuable player. But this will be the first and only time they just X an award off the board, and one of your boys can do it, and Herman Marquez. Ooh.
Pitchers are athletes.
Well, let's not go too far.
Kale, let's boot her. Come on. Let's boot her. Let's boot it.
Kale?
No,
don't you dare.
I was behind the screen, but my face went.
Ooh, that was close. You almost got ejected.
Oh, no.
Pitchers are athletes.
She's mostly right.
Oh, she said it again. So.
That's like
she doubled down. Right.
You had a warning, and you're given a warning, and then you know what? If you want to push the limit, Kale is the boss. So,
right. Well, as you can see, we're going to keep having fun here. This was a lot of fun, and there's fun to come up this season for Marquez and Gray and Freeland. Senzatella right behind him. Apparently, Austin Gomber in terms of ERA plus. You got Charlie Blackmon set to do some big things. If Story's going to hang around or not, he's still moving up those charts. And then a few other things around baseball. It's always fun. This is one of the great things about the game when you've got 150-year history and you can celebrate things that are a rarity over 162 games. So we'll be here almost every day for it. Make sure you're following on YouTube. You got to be on the YouTube for these. If you weren't today, you missed out on a lot of great work from Tech Boy, Kel Sorbo behind the scenes, and all of the stats here, all the graphics, all the video that's going to be coming your way. You're missing out on all that. And also our bright, shining, smiley faces for the most part, except for when the team does ridiculous things. You've got to make sure you're following everybody on social media, at Patrick D. Lyons, at Drew Creasman, at Michaela E. Perkins, at Kale Sorbo, at DNVR_Rockies. I think that's all of them at this point. Subscribe to the DNVR.com so you get all that written content, plus discounts on hats, shirts, masks, a bigger beer when you come down to the DNVR bar, and you get to hang out with us in our private Discord channel, talking about anything and everything under the sun, including baseball 24/7, but also movies, TV, pro wrestling, cooking, whatever you're into. We want to hear about it. We want to know about it. Get on what's that on the social media? What are you showing us?
The Discord.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Ooh,
Inside
that's a brief look inside. Yeah. So those of you that aren't subscribers, you got to take a screenshot. But subscribe. It's fun. Come hang out, because being a part of the community really does just make it that much better. People are meeting friends. People have gotten married by meeting each other in this community. It's really fantastic, man. We love each and every one of you out there. We couldn't do this without you. So just keep being absolutely awesome. We'll keep being absolutely Patrick Lyons, Michaela Perkins, Drew Creasman, and Gail Sorbo. And until next time, we will see you at the ballpark. The thing's broken again.